Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day. So they found so many storylines after day one of the Prime Classic. Do Los Angeles Thieves have to blow it up? Was yesterday the last and final straw for the team, but also we're up to getting a bit checked out of this weekend with the iLLeY general situation. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'll greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. We're going to try and recap everything I didn't get to cover in last night's video. Firstly, Scrappy's here in kind of the post-match interview after beating in reverse, sweeping Los Angeles Guerrillas Game 5 round 11 for the 3-2 victory, putting Toronto Ultra North American Academy in a rather good position indeed to actually qualify out of their group. Boston and them are certainly favoured right now to get out. That'd be quite the statement, no doubt, for them to actually manage this. Of course, there was the only amateur team that got an upset victory yesterday. We'll see how things went here in the coming minutes as well. This also just to mention real quick from the subliners, they kind of confirmed when their major is going to be, where it's going to be as well. It's going to be at the kind of King's Theatre in Brooklyn, New York. Thought that was kind of cool. The other thing actually about the New York subliners yesterday is this confirmation. Kind of interesting, subliners would say this themselves, so I guess it makes sense. Kismet is actually signed to a 2-week contract, so they haven't locked him in for the rest of the year. Makes sense, I guess, for them to do this, because they can just sign him to a 2-week and then extend him anyway. But yeah, that is the thing, of course. They had a great result yesterday. Kismet's had a pretty tough time map 1, but after that he showed up pretty well, and that's the thing. If Kismet seems to have kind of putting this team in the right direction, they'll probably extend him. But interesting in a way that they've only kept him on a 2-week contract here, right? So just in case it doesn't work out, they can go down a different option. I mean, certainly the trio of Crimsix, Porlex, and Hydra look very solid. If they can find a fourth player that has the pressure that they need, like on the map, for example, as seemingly Kismet is doing a better job of that already than Neptune was able to do. But of course, look, they played Los Angeles Thieves, who are the kings of the collapse, there's no doubt. But I did think Kismet did a great job. Even Crimsix says the comps today were 12 out of 10 for me, right? So that's certainly something Crimsix is going to value very highly. So you can imagine they're going to extend his 2-week contract if things go as they currently are. And of course, they're in a nice spot to get out of that group as well. We'll have a look how things worked out here in just a couple of seconds. This also was kind of unfortunate for Team War. They're playing, I guess, up against the London Royal Ravens. Yeah, some quality spawns, honestly, for London guys right here. They get in the back, just absolutely fantastic stuff. The boys spawning in the back. It's vintage Vanguard, to be honest. So yeah, some tough moments yesterday. We saw Paris Legions guys having a pretty tough time as well. But when there's 12 games on going in one evening, there's going to be some crazy stuff happening. So anyway, these were the opening results. The 3-1s we saw all this type of stuff last night. These were the second set of results. London Royal Ravens took down Team War 3-1. Harry honestly had a monster series as well for him. Like, I do wonder if he'd have been in the Ultra European Academy, whether they could have actually done something really special, right? Because they almost beat, they won the map against OpTic right that game too. Then they had a pretty close control against them, lost both the hard points comfortably. So who knows what could have happened with that team if they'd have had Harry in their team instead of bringing Rafi in last minute. Because that team also went on to play the Minnesota Rokkr guys, and they actually got 3-0'd here. But this was an incredibly close 3-0, 252-40, 6-5 search and destroy, 3-2 control. So with Harry, who knows what happens here to the Rokkr? And still, yes, it's a 3-0 and attached drops to 1.31. But still, I haven't been particularly impressed with the Minnesota Rokkr. What I saw from them yesterday. They play OpTic today in a must-win series for both teams to get out of the group. Florida Mutineers obviously continue their reign. We saw that yesterday. Obviously, Atlanta FaZe were going to 3-0 StrikeX. Pretty tough time for Fire 40. Drops of 0.5. Gunsy was really the only one, though, on that team showing too much signs of life in both couple of series. And this is a massive series last night. Toronto versus the Seattle Surge. I thought Seattle would be favoured in this one, but Toronto come through with a pretty good team performance all across the board and win this series against Seattle. That's absolutely mega, meaning that Seattle are not getting out of the group. The confirmation comes through of that last night. These were kind of the overall stats here, and that's the thing. When Sib has a kind of poor series, 0.8, it's really difficult for the team to do anything, right? So interesting stuff. I thought that Toronto would certainly not be favoured here. They won, I'm pretty sure, 2 hard points in this series, or they won at least 1 hard point, right? Because they won the game 4. So that's the thing. Toronto, they're stuck with their team. They seem to have turned it around, and that leaves Thieves arguably in a pretty difficult spot, because maybe they were hoping that, okay, if this team does blow up and it's not working out too well, at least maybe Ultra will blow up as well and we can get some of their guys and actually get some talent into our team. That might not be the case anymore with them going 2-0 on the first day and qualifying out of their group. So seemingly some steps in the right direction for them, but yeah, Seattle Surge certainly on the other side of things, but all of a sudden after having a really promising finish to Major 2, they're now coming here and don't make it out of the groups after their first day of action. Tough group, of course, the Los Angeles Guerrillas guys, as Slasher says, took our foot off the gas big time, so of course they've got to bounce back today, beating both Boston and Paris Legion if they want to make it through. And this is kind of the confirmation from Steve Vortex, pretty tough time that the Ultra Academy Europe had, losing in this way to Minnesota Rokkr. But of course, the map count for Rokkr is very nice here, actually, the 3-0. But I'm pretty sure, regardless of the situation, they've just got to take down OpTic if they want to get through. This also from Cammy, then GG Seattle StrikeX won both games 3-1, play FaZe for the first seed tomorrow, and that leaves the groups looking like this. So Group A looks like this. FaZe Ultra, they're confirmed to be through. The winner of the group will be determined between the match of those two teams going on later today. And then Group B is Mutineers right now sitting pretty at 2-0. They are yet to play, of course, the Toronto Ultra Academy, so they should go through 3-0 rather comfortably there, you would imagine. And then, of course, it's really between the other two teams. So whoever wins out of OpTic and Minnesota pretty much will be going through in the second seed of this group. That does mean things are rather interesting, because let's say FaZe beat Toronto, and then it's Florida and OpTic come at 1 number 2, then OpTic would play FaZe round 1 of the winners bracket, which is, of course, well, it's not even a winners bracket, it's just a bracket, right? Because there's single elimination, so that would not be ideal, but even getting out of the groups for OpTic given these circumstances would be pretty good, as we'll see here in a second. These also, the other groups, of course, only 1 match played for each team in these groups yesterday, but Subliners and Ravens, they're sitting okay, but of course, many things to still be determined here. But of course, yeah, Group D, that's rather the interesting one, with an upset coming through yesterday, Game 5, Round 11. The Los Angeles Guerrillas, after having their Search and Destroy win streak broken, they're now really backs against the wall to get out of this group. So, interesting stuff, no doubt. Wanted to mention Los Angeles Thieves, though, as well, because we did look at it last night. The Kenny had a 0.6 in this series. This is what Ake's had to say. Never mind, my questions have been answered. Kind of, he's been wondering for the last few years, why is he not running SMG? This maybe is exactly why. Few words here for Makes really on kind of the situation, and even Zoomer agrees that probably it's about time. Like this team yesterday, this might have been kind of the nail in the coffin for them, just because 5-0 up in the Search and Destroy, to get to lose 6-5 right and get full selled, just shows that probably nothing has changed in this team in terms of clutch factor at closing out series. And it might now be time, if they fail to get out of this group, to actually pull a trigger on a roster move. What move do they make, though? That's another question entirely.
Listen, bro, it's time. No more role swaps, no more blaming Cap, no more switching guns. Blow this team the up.
No, you think so, Pat?
Listen,
You're gonna blow it up? I
listen,
personally agree with you. I think they
I
should
like
change
Kenny.
too.
I think he's a beast. But today, I know it's one game. All it did was answer my questions. My question for the last 4 years has been, why the hasn't Kenny ran a sub since World War II? And today I found out. Because he just got absolutely turned on left and right. Every engagement, couldn't buy a kill with a sub.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder why, though. I thought he was going to come out and fry with a sub. I thought he was going to do the same.
Too. I thought so too. And when I saw that Bocage, I was like, oh, yeah, they're playing confident. Kenny on a sub. He's about to look like aBeZy and Shotzi. No. Man was looking like Jimbo day 1 in the Pro League.
No. Hey, he had a tough day.
It wasn't that bad, but
I think Drazah looked good with an AR.
No, Drazah did look good with an AR. He did.
Yeah,
he did look good with an AR.
Like, Drazah's solid. I mean, they're all solid. They're all going to look good with ARs. To me, it's the same story, man. Like, Envoy just needs some help.
So it is difficult to say what Los Angeles Thieves exactly should do. Of course, Pentagram is sitting there on their bench. Like, maybe they change around what the SMGs are looking like. Because as X was saying right there, it really is like, you know, can we give Envoy some help on this team? Right? That would certainly be helping the squad out. And Kenny wasn't really able to do that yesterday. You do have to wonder who can do that, to be honest. If Kenny's not going to be in on the SMG, like, does he have to go back to the AR or something? Like, there was all that talk early on that maybe the idea was you get rid of Octane, put Kenny on the main, Drazah on the flex, bring in another SMG. And like, they haven't gone down that route probably because they just can't really make it happen, right? And it's kind of interesting to see. Like, for example, Toronto, if they're looking good now, there's not potential trades or exchanges to be made over there to actually make this thing work. So I do feel like some of these teams, maybe Los Angeles Thieves included, might be stuck with rosters they're not really particularly happy with for the rest of the season, just trying to make it to the World Championships and have a decent result before doing something pretty drastic in the off-season, right? But they're going to have to really think about it, because if they fail to make it out of these groups, and let's say similar performances continue between London and, War, for example, like, they're really going to have to think about what they do after this event, to be honest, if there even are options out there to be executed on. Let's talk the whole OpTic side of this equation, as Rambo says, Loki kind of salty, because, I mean, some of the coaches got their names on these signatures, largely because I'm guessing the coaches are signed as the substitute players, which isn't the case for Rambus. Maybe he wouldn't have been able to get away with it anyway. But, yeah, he wasn't so happy about this one. But, of course, attached, as he says, GG's Florida and Toronto EU went 1-1 today. Play OpTic tomorrow to make it into the bracket play. This is what General has to say last night as well, because, of course, if you guys kind of missed the story, iLLeY kind of thought he was maybe okay to play in their first series, subs in for them again, whenever he sub in. He makes his spot be known once again back in the starting team. In the first series they played, they won that, he dropped to 1.2, then he subs out. Basically, he says, look, I'm not really going to do this for the rest of the weekend. He's out of there. General's in the team, and definitely seems to throw off the chemistry and the vibes really on the OpTic squad. They got comfortably taken down by Florida last night. As General says, just felt wonky and chaotic that series. Many unfortunate circumstances all around today. Gonna have to dig deep against Minnesota tomorrow. Regardless of how little reps with me playing, we're just gonna have to reset and power through it. Appreciate the support, but it's not gonna be easy for them at all. Like the Scump says, tough circumstances. Gotta come out with the fire tomorrow. Minnesota didn't look great, but they still should probably be favourites, right, against a team like OpTic, even with the substitute coming into the roster. iLLeY had a nice reply here for Saints, right? He says, you tried, brother, that Alone Joe's killer mentality. Hope you recover soon. Health is wealth, no doubt. So iLLeY's obviously trying to get better as soon as possible. This was also something I noticed that a lot of people were talking about, though, that after this series was over, they got 3-0'd. Dashy was kind of here on the main stage, and well, not really the main stage, but on the alpha stream at least, and he wasn't really looking up and elsewhere, really talking to the rest of the guys. He was just kind of fist bumping over his shoulders. Looked kind of like, you know, checked out, or checked is the term that the pros use nowadays. Another one of these quad lingo things. But like, yeah, looked kind of checked out of the series, to be honest. Like, he wasn't seemingly too happy with how things had gone, and understandably so, right? But, you know, doesn't necessarily paint the greatest picture, because when you're getting beaten like this in a series, and you're kind of frustrated that iLLeY wasn't there again, and then they went to dinner, actually. I thought this was an interesting picture, really, because OpTic put this on Twitter. But hit the regain dinner tonight, of course, like, it's just one photo, but like, if you zoom in on these guys, like, it doesn't look like they're particularly in the greatest mood, right? Like, we've got Shotzzy just kind of sitting here, looking like he is, iLLeY sitting here, like, I mean, Scump's kind of just seeing what's going on, but it doesn't seem like that the team vibes are necessarily as high as they might usually have been, if you know what I mean. So definitely, I think some concerns here, really, that OpTic are kind of like, look, this weekend just chalked up, we got to go again next time. We can't even get the good practice we want to get in for the major 3 qualifiers, because we can't play with iLLeY anymore, apart from that one series we played. So it might be a bit of a difficult one. Dashy's here in the foreground as well, but you can't really see what he's thinking about, even though he's watching the COD on his phone, which is like, you know, classic from all of the guys, which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, it doesn't really look like the vibes and the kind of chemistry that has been such a key asset of this team with iLLeY in the squad is necessarily there at the moment after the series loss yesterday. Of course, it's just one image, you can't really do all that much, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're feeling rather frustrated about the way this weekend has gone so far. This, of course, was the confirmation that came through last night from the OpTic guys that, yeah, General is going to be back in for the team for the rest of the weekends, and that's probably going to mean that realistically, top 8 is the best they can really hope for, right? Because if they win the series, they're probably playing FaZe round 1, and that's not really something that's going to happen, and there's no losers bracket to go through. So, like, if they win today, I think that'd be impressive with General. Not sure it's going to happen, though, based on what we saw yesterday, but no, we'll just see how things go for the rest of the weekends. Like, Shotzzy also was kind of interesting, because Shotzzy didn't have a great series at all against the Florida guys. Seemed rather interesting, right? How changing one player around, and like iLLeY being gone, seems to change up the entire chemistry of the team in a way that Shotzzy all of a sudden seemed way more comfortable. I've no idea how he made this jump as well. Like, this is absolutely absurd that he made this jump into the window. I don't know, like, how many times he's practiced that or whatever, but like, that is an absolutely ridiculous jump all the way from top there into this building. I don't know how many players can actually pull that off. He strafe jumped like to another level right there. Very impressive stuff indeed. But again, just wanted to finish off talking up the matches for today. Day 1 Prime Classic KD looked like this. Cell with a 1.58. I mean, loads of guys in the 1.3s and above right here, which makes sense based on some of the caliber of teams that these guys are playing. iLLeY, in fairness, with a 1.23, despite the fact that he had to sub out after that series with the thumb pains that he was having. This also from Zell I thought was kind of funny. Asked the COD team to meet me in the pool. No one absolutely showed up at all. But of course, they play 2 massive matches going on later on today to try and get out of their group. They find themselves in a relatively comfortable spot to try and do so. If they beat Ultra Academy North America, they'll do it. But that's going to be a far from easy series, as we saw what Los Angeles Guerrillas had to deal with last night. These are the games then for the day. OpTic versus Minnesota, a very big one to determine who gets out of that group. Los Angeles Thieves, of course, first up against the London guys as well. Like, that shall determine pretty much if Los Angeles Guerrillas are going to be able to get out of this group or not, because if they lose this series, they're probably ultra chalked. But once again, some cracking series all across the board. Very much enjoying your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. Tells you YouTube gods, this is a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.